expected to be standing here and telling you that we have widespread power outages through the state. We were fortunate and blessed. We do have approximately 8,200 power outages in our state. The loss leader in terms of power right now is poor Cecil County that got walloped. They have 2,200 people without power. Anne Arundel County has 1,968, and Montgomery County has 19 and 11 without power. We continue to work with utility crews in order to get power restored. Road conditions. Our crews have been working through the night, and while we have had some very serious drifting in a couple of counties, particularly up north here, overall, the crews were able to make some substantial progress through the night. Well, I really want to thank the people of Maryland for heeding our warnings and for staying off the highways yesterday. Because the people of our state understood the magnitude of the snowfall and the nature of this public safety threat, we were actually able to make a lot of headway on the highways. So the highways, for the most part, are greatly improved on where they were last night. We are now working the intersections, and we are working those exit ramps and the entrance ramps, and we are starting to redeploy some assets to help our county governments, particularly around the intersections of the county arterials and the state highways. So that's where we stand on the highways right now. Neil Peterson is here. We'll bring you up to date to a greater degree on that. One of the public safety problems, though, that we are having has to do with pedestrians on those arterials and pedestrians that are walking where we have not been able, of course, to get to the sidewalks. We also have some huge snowbanks still on many of the arterials, those secondary and tertiary roads in the counties and in the city. Motorists may be traveling along on what appears to be cleared lanes, only to find that all of a sudden they hit snowpack and in some cases snowbanks. So it's still very treacherous out there. You've got to go slow. You've got to be looking a couple blocks ahead of your line of travel because it still is very dangerous out there, and the pedestrians walking on the roadway also are presenting a particular danger, which is why we still have a state of emergency in effect for today and likely into tomorrow. Let me bring you up to date on a couple of conditions that we have in Harford County and also in Frederick County, and that is this sort of huge snow drifts that you see pictured behind us here. This is Route 340 in Frederick, and you can see the size of those snow drifts. We have had a number of motorists and a number of trucks, including one of our plow trucks, that were stranded in some of these snow drifts all night. We have been doing aerial reconnaissance with National Guard helicopters as well as with state police helicopters. Richard Muth, who you're accustomed to seeing at these briefings, is himself in one of those National Guard helicopters and will be assisting first responders and County Commissioner President Jan Gardner and people of Frederick as they try to get to those folks that in some instances have been stranded through last night. Latest word we had was that 3 motorists have been identified near their vehicles, and we are working our way towards them right now. We have been keeping in touch with them by cell phone through the night. National Guard is still deployed. In fact, National Guard, along with the National Resource Police, are very active and actively engaged in reaching those stranded motorists and stranded truckers on Route 15 and Route 340. We conducted a conference call earlier today with county executives and made them aware of contracts that they can call upon in order to get more assets in for the great dig out, which will be going on for the next several days. I think in order to all of us have to be prepared for the reality that we will be driving on snowpack, as do Americans living in Iowa and Minnesota and other places for long periods of the winter. We're not accustomed to that here in Maryland, but we have to get used to the notion that for the next several weeks we probably will be driving on snow-packed streets. So we've got to take it careful, got to take it slow. And with that, let me turn it over now to Beverly Swaim Staley, to bring you up to date on MTA, the airport's transportation issues overall. Beverly?
Thank you, Governor.
Alluding to the situation in Frederick County where the roads are treacherous and there are still efforts ongoing to rescue people and truck drivers who've been stuck, some of them in some cases overnight. Let's talk a little bit more about these snow drifts and snow banks that the governor was referencing.
Unbelievable. We had 12-foot snow drifts reported on 340, also in Buckingstown. That was the other area that we know we've had some of those situations with one of the fire trucks there from the Carroll Manor Fire Department, I believe, in Adamstown. That was one that was stuck in that 12-foot snow drift. And really, if you haven't been there, I've been there. A lot of farms up there.
Now, is that little town sort of isolated at this point because of all this snow?
In the chat room earlier, I was talking to one of the firemen up there, and he said Adamstown was inaccessible. That was his word. So they'll get out there. They'll be able to open the road. But, you know, 12-foot drifts are beyond what most normal road clearing equipment can do. So they'll probably bring in some of the equipment from Western Maryland, where they're more used to these conditions in the mountains there, out in Garrett County and stuff, and help to get through these drifts.
All right, whatever it takes to do that. I think we have Kurt Brooks available to talk to, and of course we've been talking about these treacherous conditions in Frederick County. Kurt, you're there. Tell us a bit more about what you're seeing.
Okay, yes I am. I'm currently at the corner or the overpass of Mount Zion Road, which is just behind the camera, and I'll show that in a moment. And this is 340. We're facing eastbound along 340. So coming at you is the westbound lanes. Adamstown, which we were just speaking about, is down that direction. This whole valley where Frederick City is was terribly hit, and then the mountain behind the camera, Braddock Heights, which separates to the next valley where Middletown and Jefferson are, they were all terribly hit and very difficult to get along in. So I'm going to go ahead and walk around behind the camera here now, and we're going to take a little tour as to what we can see, because we can see plenty. Right now, as soon as I went ahead and got behind the camera, I see here's the driver of that truck who has just gone over and made a personal appeal to that snowplow driver to help him. He's been rocking that truck back and forth for the last hour since I've been here. He's been here for a pretty long time. He's almost close to getting it out, but he needs some help. And I'm sure at some point help is on its way. As you can see, the eastbound Route 340 is passable. They have managed to take it down to Blacktop, as you can see going up the hill there. But that was completely scraped clean not too long ago, and this is how quickly the wind is blowing snow back onto Route 340. Speaking with a state trooper last night while I was stuck away from here, I live on the other side of the county myself, I couldn't get home last night. Speaking to a state trooper, he explained how those fields you see in the distance are the main culprit. The wind blowing across the fields is throwing the snow out into the road faster than they can plow it, especially late last night when the winds were really gusting hard. So they just closed the road. They tried to get to people to see if they needed help. Many people they could not even get to last night. They had to shelter in their vehicles. People had cell phones. They kept in touch with them. They kept a running log of cell phone numbers of people to call and make sure they were okay. Many people who were stranded, they didn't bring their cell phone chargers with them, and unfortunately their batteries died in the middle of the night, so there were concerns for people, but I haven't heard of any actual injuries or anything resulted so far. But that says more to the fact that I haven't heard about it than if the fact that there haven't been any injuries at this time. In the distance, you see there's that tractor trailer there. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and pop my double zoom in and give you a little more light. He's been stuck there as well. I believe the snowplow the governor may have been mentioning was behind him further down the way, which you can't see over the hill. In the distance, that is Frederick. You can see the water tower for Frederick, and then actually going further over, you can see some of the big technical buildings there right at Route 70 and 270. So that's how close we are to the city of Frederick, and yet at the same time, this is how far away we were from the city of Frederick. This was inaccessible last night. So since I've been out here today, we've had ongoing efforts, and I'm Kurt Brooks reporting 9 News Now.
Kurt, thank you for that.